everybody, I'm Kid Catholic. This is season 4, episode 16. And guys, before we get into today's topic, you need to turn on your notification bells now because I have a big announcement coming this week and I will post a video about it sometime this week. So stay tuned to my channel and turn your notifications on. And today's topic is, why is the Mass obligatory? So let's get into it. Obligatory. Now this is a pretty big word, and for those of you who don't know what it means, it basically means necessary. Like, why is it necessary to go to Mass on Sundays? Why is it necessary to go to Mass on holy days of obligation? So I wanted to take a look at what the CCC, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, has to say about it. Right here in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1389, we read, "The Church obliges the faithful to take part in the divine liturgy on Sundays and feast days, and, prepared by the sacrament of reconciliation, to receive the Eucharist at least once a year if possible during the Easter season. But the Church strongly encourages the faithful to receive the Holy Eucharist on Sundays and feast days, or more often still, even daily." So remember, a practicing Catholic is obliged to go to Mass on all Sundays, but they are not obliged to receive the Eucharist, right? And it's okay, I'm not saying you have to receive the Eucharist every week. It's okay to not receive the Eucharist because, again, it is a mortal sin to receive the Eucharist with a mortal sin on your soul, right? Knowingly receive the Eucharist with a mortal sin on your soul. What I'm saying is you should try your best to, before Mass, to get that mortal sin off of your soul in order to receive the Eucharist. In order to be a practicing Catholic, you have to receive the Eucharist at least once a year, right? But it's very good to receive it once a week and to get that mortal sin off of your soul. A lot of churches, I know mine does, has confession right before Mass. So that might be something that if you have a mortal sin on your soul and you're about to receive communion and you knowingly do it and you're about to go to Mass, you might want to go to confession. Not might want, you need to go to confession to get that mortal sin off of your soul in order to receive the Eucharist, because not receiving the Eucharist it doesn't sound that great, right? It's a very big blessing to be able to receive the Eucharist, something that we Catholics can do that no other religion can do, to receive Jesus, right? It's a very big deal, and so we should try our best to be ready to receive him each and every week we go to Mass, and possibly daily. The Church obliges the faithful. That means it is necessary. And on holy days of obligation, right here, on Sundays and feast days and holy days of obligation. But the Catechism right here in 1389 doesn't really tell us why. So I wanted to take a look at it a little deeper and see what the Catechism has to say about why we are obliged to go there. Right here in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1324, we see clear evidence of why the Mass is obligatory. Now, at the Mass, right, we receive the Eucharist, right? If you have made your first communion, that you receive the Eucharist, which is the body of Christ, the body and blood of Jesus Christ, right? Which he tells us in the Last Supper to do this in remembrance of me. It is a very big deal, and that's actually going to be next week's topic. It's about the Eucharist, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But right here in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1324, it says, the Eucharist is the source and summit of the Christian life. Then down here later it says, for in the blessed Eucharist is contained the whole spiritual good of the Church, namely Christ himself. Now again, I'm not going to get too much into this, but basically it is saying what a big deal the Eucharist is. The Eucharist is the source and summit of Christian life. It is Jesus. So wouldn't you want to go to Mass every single week, daily, if possible? That's what the Catechism is asking us to do. That's what Jesus asks us to do, to receive him every day, to know him and to love him each and every day. And there is no easier way to get to know and to love Jesus and to know that he loves you more than the Eucharist, which we receive at Mass. And Masses can get tricky based on what church you go to, right? Because each Mass is the same liturgy, it's the same gospel each week in different churches, but it is a very different style church. For example, the Latin Mass, you're on your knees, the priests face the altar away from the crowd, they speak all Latin, whereas in a lot of churches in America, the priest is facing toward the crowd, speaking all English. Several different things can change, and even just the building structure wise, there could be some huge churches with big extravagant stations of the cross around each walls, or there could just be 14 crosses lining up the back walls that make up the Stations of the Cross, right? And so I want to see what the Catechism of the Catholic Church had to say about these different cultures in the Mass. And right here in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1204, it says, "The celebration of the liturgy, therefore, should correspond to the genius and culture of the different peoples, in order that the mystery of Christ be made known to all nations to bring about the obedience of faith. It must be proclaimed, celebrated, and lived in all cultures in such a way that they themselves are not abolished by it, but redeemed and fulfilled." Right? It says made known to all nations to bring about the obedience of faith. Right? This is what the Catechism is saying. It's okay for churches and some masses to be different, but not abolish the faith, right? So you can't do things like go away from the liturgy, right? You can't preach different things that isn't the teaching, that's not the gospel this week, except for some special cases, right? But what the Catechism is saying is it should be celebrating different cultures, right? Different cultures expect different things from the Mass. Sometimes maybe if you're in a country that speaks the same language as you, right, then you're there, but they do things a little bit differently. They have maybe older, maybe younger priests, right? But it's still the same liturgy. I think something amazing is when my family can go on vacation. We can go on vacation anywhere and still go to Mass. And when we enter a church with complete strangers and people we've never seen before in a church that we're not used to, we can still feel at home because we know that the same Jesus is there. The same liturgy is being spoken. And this again ties in to what I was talking about earlier perfectly. If you feel at home, there's so much everywhere you go. Why wouldn't you want to go there every week? Now, it is summer and a lot of us are traveling, and sometimes it can be hard to attend Mass, but like I just read, like the Catechism tells us, we must attend Mass each Sunday in order to be a practicing Catholic. And there's this great app called Mass Times, and when you pull it up, it'll show you the nearest churches, and you can tap on a church and it'll show you the Mass times, it'll show you the weekend Mass times, it'll show you the daily Mass times. You can even click on it in a section for directions to that church. It's a great app to keep you reminded to go to Mass each Sunday and to know that there is a church wherever you are, because I feel like a lot of times today people want to make excuses as to why they missed it. Oh, they were traveling, they didn't have a church nearby. And I feel like this app is a very great help to find the nearest churches and to know that the Catechism asks us and obliges us to attend Mass each Sunday. So, do you guys know what it's time for now? It's time for the Saint of the Week. Back at the Heavenly Hammock, and today's Saint of the Week is Saint Genesius. Now, Saint Genesius' story is pretty incredible, and I think we can all look to him for help when our faith is being tested. So, he was putting on a play for the emperor, okay, who wasn't Christian, and it was supposed to be mocking Christianity, okay? And so while he was doing research for the play on how to mock Christianity, on how to make fun of it, he started to believe in it. He started to believe in Christianity, started to believe it, and so he still did the play. But during the baptism scene, when they were making fun of baptisms of Christianity, he said that he is a Christian, that he believes in the faith, and that he loves Jesus, and they dragged him off the stage and they gave him one last chance. They said, "We'll give you this last chance to renounce Christianity, or else we will kill you." And he did not renounce it, and he was martyred for the faith. This absolutely deserves a second mind blow. That is so cool. And if you were in that position, would you do the same? Now, in the 21st century, you probably won't be, but if you were, let's just say in a fantasy world, if you were in that exact same position, would you do the same? Would you refuse to renounce him even for death, like all the martyrs have done? It's very hard to think about. It's very hard to consider if you would do that or not, but we need to grow strong enough in faith to get in a position where we are willing to do what Saint Genesius did for the faith. And I think going to Mass and receiving the Eucharist, like I talked about earlier, is the perfect way to grow enough strength with God in order to be able to refuse to renounce him, even if it means death, just like the martyrs did. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video. Please click the red subscribe button down below and the bell next to it. That way you get notified when I come out with a new video. Also, don't forget to check out my website, kid-catholic.com. There's so many cool things you can do on there. Also, don't forget to leave your notification bells on for a huge announcement coming this week. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I will be posting a video about it sometime this week. Also, don't forget to check out all 3 of my social medias, my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The link to all 3 of those will be in the description and in the comments below. That was Kid Catholic Season 4, Episode 16. I'll see you guys next week, and hi, Brielle. Let's see what the Catechism of the Catholic Church has to say about it. That was fun. Right here in the Catechism. Know what it's time for now? It's time for same position. Would you do the same? It's something very very hard to think about.